Dr. Maya Rivera stared through the observation window of the Helios research station, watching distant stars drift by like fireflies in the endless night. After 15 years of studying xenobiology on Earth, she still couldn't believe she'd finally made it to space. The Interstellar Research Division had been her dream since childhood, but now that she was here, anxiety gnawed at her stomach like a hungry parasite. "Dr. Rivera, your presence is requested in Lab 7, the station's AI announced, its voice eerily calm. Maya grabbed her tablet and hurried through the station's curved corridors, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. The station's artificial gravity was working fine, but old habits died hard. The lab doors hissed open to reveal a scene of controlled chaos. Her new colleague, ZX Thor, a towering Arcturian with iridescent scales and 4 arms, was hunched over a containment unit. 3 other scientists huddled around various monitors, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of holographic displays. Dr. Rivera, ZX Thor's translator chip converted his clicking sounds into smooth English. "We've detected something unusual in the latest sample from the Proxima Centauri expedition." Maya approached the containment unit, her heart racing. Inside, suspended in a nutrient solution, was what appeared to be a small crystal, no larger than her thumb. But as she watched, the crystal seemed to pulse with an internal light, its structure shifting and changing like liquid mercury. "It's alive," she whispered, pressing her hand against the transparent barrier. "But it doesn't match any known classification system." "That's not all," said Dr. Marcus Wong, the station's senior researcher. He pulled up a holographic display showing the crystal's molecular structure. "It's reconfiguring its atomic structure every 47 seconds, but there's a pattern we can't decode." Maya frowned, studying the readouts. "Have we tried exposing it to different environmental conditions?" "Negative," ZX Thor replied. "The protocol requires full containment until we understand what we're dealing with. The last time we rushed analysis of an unknown specimen." "I know," Maya interrupted. "The Europa incident. But this is different. Look at these energy readings." She pointed to a graph showing regular spikes in electromagnetic activity. "It's not random. This thing is trying to accomplish something specific." As if responding to her words, the crystal suddenly flared with brilliant light. The containment unit sensors screamed in alarm as energy readings spiked off the charts. Maya grabbed her tablet, fingers flying across the surface as she tried to make sense of the data flood. "It's absorbing energy from the containment field," she shouted. "We need to." The crystal exploded in a flash of blinding light. Maya felt herself being thrown backward, her head cracking against a wall. Through blurry vision, she saw the crystal's fragments suspended in mid-air, each piece glowing like a miniature sun. Then, impossibly, the fragments began to move toward each other, reconstructing themselves into something new. The air crackled with electricity as the pieces merged and transformed, taking on a shape that defied physics and reason. "Everyone out!" Dr. Wong yelled, slapping the emergency containment protocols. Blast doors began to descend, but Maya couldn't move. She watched, transfixed, as the crystal completed its transformation into a geometric pattern she'd never seen before, a shape that seemed to exist in more dimensions than her mind could process. ZX Thor's strong arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her toward the exit. "The containment field won't hold it," he clicked urgently. "We need to seal off this section." Maya struggled against his grip. "Wait. Look at the pattern it's forming, it's not random destruction. It's building something." The transformed crystal now filled the containment unit with a complex lattice of light and energy. Holographic displays throughout the lab flickered and died as it drew power from the station's systems. But in the chaos, Maya noticed something extraordinary: the pattern matched theoretical models of quantum computing networks. "It's not just alive," she gasped. "It's trying to create a communication interface." The blast doors sealed with a final, resounding clang, leaving Maya, ZX Thor, and Dr. Wong trapped in the antechamber. Through the reinforced window, they watched as the crystal entity continued its mysterious transformation, rewriting the laws of physics before their eyes. Maya's tablet chirped, displaying readings from the lab's sensors. The energy signature. I've seen something like this before, in theoretical papers about quantum consciousness. Whatever this thing is, it's not just a specimen. It might be the key to understanding consciousness itself. ZX Thor's scales shifted color, indicating deep concern. Or it could be the beginning of another catastrophe. The IRD protocols exist for a reason, Dr. Rivera. Sometimes protocols need to be broken, Maya replied, her fingers already typing out a preliminary report. This could be first contact with a form of life we never imagined possible. We need to understand it before someone decides to destroy it. The crystal entity pulsed again, its light synchronizing with the station's emergency beacons. As Maya watched, she couldn't shake the feeling that they stood on the brink of a discovery that would change humanity's understanding of life itself. The question was, would they survive long enough to unlock its secrets? In the distance, station alarms began to wail, and Maya knew their time was running out. Whatever the crystal entity was, whatever it wanted, they had to figure it out fast, before the IRD decided the risk was too great and implemented the final containment protocol, complete destruction of the research station and everything on it. The quarantine alarms had been blaring for 6 hours straight when Maya finally convinced station director Yuki Tanaka to let her back into Lab 7. Through the observation window, the crystal entity had transformed the entire laboratory into what looked like the inside of a geode, surfaces covered in geometric patterns that seemed to breathe with light. 10 minutes, Director Tanaka said, her face illuminated by the pulsing patterns. After that, we initiate emergency protocols and jettison the entire lab module. Maya nodded, checking the seals on her containment suit. Beside her, ZX Thor's scales had taken on a deep purple hue, a sign of extreme stress in Arcturians. The entity's energy signature has changed, he clicked, manipulating a holographic display with his 4 hands. It's no longer drawing power from the station. Instead, it appears to be generating its own. That's impossible, Dr. Wong muttered from his position at the emergency controls. It would violate at least 3 laws of thermodynamics. Maya smiled behind her helmet visor. Wouldn't be the first time alien life made us rewrite the physics books. The airlock cycled, and Maya stepped into what had once been a sterile laboratory. The crystalline growths covered everything, pulsing with a bioluminescent light that seemed to follow her movements. Her suit's sensors screamed warnings about unknown energy signatures, but she forced herself to keep walking. Maya, ZX Thor's voice crackled through her calm, the patterns, they're shifting to track you. She could see it too. The geometric designs were flowing like liquid metal, creating complex fractals that spiraled around her position. Her tablet screen flickered and then displayed a series of mathematical equations she'd never seen before. It's not random, she breathed, reaching out to touch one of the crystalline surfaces. These are quantum equations, but they're evolved. Like someone took our understanding of physics and advanced it by 1,000 years. The moment her gloved hand made contact, the entire room blazed with light. The crystalline growths vibrated at a frequency that made her teeth ache, and then, impossibly, they began to sing. It wasn't sound in any conventional sense, more like pure mathematics translated into vibrations that bypassed her ears and went straight to her brain. Images flooded her mind, distant stars, strange geometries, and concepts that her human consciousness struggled to process. Maya. ZX Thor's urgent clicks cut through the vision. Your suit's integrity is compromising. The entity is attempting to interface directly with your neural patterns. She tried to pull away, but the crystal surface had become liquid under her touch, flowing up her arm like quicksilver. Yet there was no fear, only a profound sense of communication, of knowledge trying to bridge an impossible gap between forms of consciousness. Don't interrupt, she gasped. It's trying to show me something. Something about origin, creation, purpose. Through the observation window, she could see Director Tanaka reaching for the emergency protocols, her hand hovering over the lab jettison controls. Maya had seconds to prove this wasn't a threat, that this moment could change everything humanity thought they knew about life in the universe. The liquid crystal had reached her helmet now, and warning lights flashed across her visor. But in her mind, the mathematical song was reaching a crescendo, resolving into something she could almost understand. "There are others," she whispered, her voice trembling with awe. "Scattered across the galaxy. Waiting. Growing. Learning. They're like seeds." "Seeds of what?" Dr. Wong's voice was tight with tension. Before Maya could answer, the crystal entity released her with a pulse of energy that sent her staggering backward. The liquid metal retreated, reforming into solid crystals that now bore an unmistakable pattern, a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with dozens of points illuminated like stars. "They're creation engines," Maya said, her mind racing to process what she'd seen. "Left behind by something. Something ancient. They evolve, adapt, learn from whatever life forms discover them. And then..." Her voice trailed off as the crystalline growths began to pulse in unison, each beat sending waves of data across her tablet screen. The equations were becoming more complex, building upon themselves in ways that defied conventional mathematics. "And then what?" Director Tanaka demanded. Maya watched as new crystals began to form in the air, assembling themselves into structures that seemed to fold through dimensions she couldn't perceive. "Then they teach us how to transcend." ZX Thor's scales shifted to a color she'd never seen before, something between wonder and terror. "The Europa incident," he clicked softly. "It wasn't an accident, was it? It was another seed, but we weren't ready." Maya shook her head, still processing the vast implications of what she'd witnessed. "No, we weren't. But this one's different. It's not just showing us the path, it's trying to help us understand why we need to take it." The crystal entity's pulsing had settled into a rhythm that matched the human heartbeat, its light dimming to a gentle glow. On Maya's tablet, complex equations continued to write themselves, each one pushing the boundaries of known physics a little further. Director Tanaka's voice cut through the calm. "Dr. Rivera, your 10 minutes are up. Make your recommendation. Do we contain it, study it, or jettison it into space?" Maya looked at the galaxy map still hovering in the air, each point of light representing another seed waiting to be discovered. The choice they made here, in this moment, could determine humanity's place in a universe far stranger and more wonderful than they'd imagined. 3 days into studying the crystal entity, the Helios research station's problems began multiplying faster than the crystalline structures themselves. Maya sat in the makeshift command center they'd established outside Lab 7, surrounded by holographic displays showing increasingly worrying data. "The entity's quantum field is interfering with the station's artificial gravity systems," Dr. Wong reported, his usual composure cracking. "We've already lost control of 3 auxiliary sections, and the main power grid is showing signs of destabilization." Director Tanaka paced the room, her movements sharp with tension. "The IRD Central Command is demanding answers. They're talking about implementing Final Protocol." Maya's blood ran cold. Final Protocol meant complete destruction of the station, and with it, humanity's first chance to understand something that could revolutionize their understanding of the universe. "We can't let that happen," she said, pulling up the latest analysis of the entity's communications. "Look at this, every interaction is teaching us something new. The quantum equations it's generating are already helping us understand dark energy in ways we never." The station shuddered, lights flickering ominously. ZX Thor's scales rippled with emergency colors as his 4 hands flew over multiple control panels. "Primary cooling systems are failing," he clicked urgently. "The entity's field is affecting the quantum state of our coolant particles. We have maybe 6 hours before critical failure." Maya stared through the observation window at the transformed laboratory. The crystalline growths had evolved beyond simple geometric patterns, they now formed what looked like a living computer, each surface shifting and reconfiguring as it processed unfathomable calculations. "It's not trying to destroy the station," she insisted. "These aren't random failures. The entity is reconfiguring our technology. Evolving it, just like it evolved itself." "That's what I'm afraid of," Director Tanaka said grimly. "We're not just dealing with an alien artifact anymore. We're dealing with something that can rewrite the fundamental laws of physics within its influence sphere. And that sphere is growing." As if to emphasize her point, a new alarm blared. On the main display, a section of the station's hull was beginning to crystallize, the metal transforming into the same iridescent material that had overtaken Lab 7. Maya's tablet chimed with an incoming transmission. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw the sender, IRD Central Command. She opened the message and felt the blood drain from her face. "They're sending a containment vessel," she announced, her voice hollow. "Equipped with a quantum nullification device. They're going to try to shut it down." ZX Thor's translator chip struggled to convey the complex emotions in his clicks. The nullification process could tear apart the fabric of spacetime within the station's radius. "We would all die. Then we need to understand what it wants before they get here," Maya said, already pulling on her containment suit. "I'm going back in." Director Tanaka stepped in front of her. "Absolutely not. The last time you made contact, the entity nearly merged with your neural network. We still don't know what kind of long-term effects. Look at this." Maya projected a new set of equations from her tablet. "These appeared in my dreams last night. I ran them through quantum simulation this morning. They're a blueprint for something impossible. Something beautiful." The holographic display showed a structure that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, its geometry defying conventional physics. Dr. Wong leaned forward, his eyes wide. This could be a way to manipulate spacetime itself," he whispered. "Not just travel through it, but reshape it. The power requirements would be exactly what the entity is generating right now," Maya finished. "It's not just teaching us, it's helping us build something. Something that could change everything." Another tremor shook the station, stronger this time. Warning lights flashed as more systems began to fail, but Maya noticed something odd about the pattern of failures. They weren't random, they formed a sequence, like steps in a process. "Director," she said, pulling up station schematics, "what if these systems aren't failing? What if they're being upgraded?" ZX Thor's scales shifted to a color indicating sudden realization. The power fluctuations, they matched the energy signature of the entity's quantum field. "It's synchronizing with our technology." Maya nodded excitedly. "The seed isn't just evolving itself anymore, it's trying to help us evolve. But we need to understand how before IRD arrives with that nullification device, or we'll lose everything." Director Tanaka studied the data for a long moment, her face illuminated by the pulsing light from Lab 7. Finally, she spoke, "You have 3 hours, Dr. Rivera. After that, I'll have no choice but to evacuate the station." Maya sealed her helmet, checking the neural interface modifications she and ZX Thor had added after her last encounter with the entity. This time, she hoped to do more than just receive information, she wanted to communicate back. "If I'm right," she said, approaching the airlock, "we're about to witness the next step in human evolution. If I'm wrong." "If you're wrong," Dr. Wong finished grimly, "we might trigger something we can't control." The airlock cycled, and Maya stepped into what had once been Lab 7. The crystalline surfaces pulsed with welcome, and in her mind, she felt the first notes of that strange mathematical song beginning again. The moment Maya's consciousness merged with the crystal entity, time ceased to have meaning. Her mind expanded beyond the confines of human perception, touching realms of understanding that no human language could describe. Through the neural interface, ZX Thor and the others watched in awe as streams of data poured from her suit's sensors. "These patterns," Dr. Wong whispered, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. They're not just mathematical formulas anymore. They're instructions. The crystalline growth throughout Lab 7 pulsed in sync with Maya's heartbeat, creating cascading waves of light that seemed to bend reality itself. Through the quantum field generated by the entity, Maya began to understand its true purpose. "It's showing me," her voice came through the calm, distant and filled with wonder. "The seeds, they're not just teachers. They're bridges." Director Tanaka checked the countdown timer, 2 hours until the IRD containment vessel arrived. "Bridges to what, Dr. Rivera?" "To them. The ones who came before. The ones who scattered these seeds across the galaxy." Maya's voice took on an otherworldly quality as the crystal structures around her shifted and flowed. "They found a way to transcend physical form, to exist as pure consciousness within the quantum fabric of space itself. But they didn't want to leave the younger races behind." ZX Thor's scales flickered with colors indicating deep emotional resonance. "The seeds are tests," he clicked softly. "To find species ready to make the leap." The station shuddered again, but this time the vibrations felt different, purposeful, coordinated. On the monitors, the failing systems began to stabilize, but in ways that defied conventional physics. The quantum field generated by the entity was somehow optimizing the station's technology, pushing it beyond its designed limitations. "Maya," Dr. Wong called out urgently, "the entity's quantum field is expanding exponentially. At this rate, it'll encompass the entire station before the IRD arrives." Inside Lab 7, Maya floated in a sea of living crystal, her mind connected to something vast and ancient. Through her neural interface, images and concepts flooded the observation room's displays, civilizations that had evolved beyond physical form, species that had learned to dance between dimensions, and the network of seeds left behind to guide others toward that same transcendence. "We've been asking the wrong questions," she said. "We thought it was about survival, about advancing our technology. But it's about understanding our place in the cosmic dance. The seeds don't just teach us new physics, they teach us how to evolve beyond our limitations." Director Tanaka watched as crystalline patterns began forming on the observation window, beautiful and impossible. "And if we're not ready? If we fail the test?" "The Europa incident," Maya replied, her voice heavy with sudden understanding. "The seed tried to connect, but humanity wasn't prepared. Our fear, our desire to control it, the seed had to withdraw, taking its knowledge with it." A new alarm blared, the IRD containment vessel had accelerated. They now had less than an hour before it arrived. "Maya," ZX Thor clicked urgently, "your neural patterns are becoming increasingly synchronized with the entity. If this continues—" "I know," she interrupted. "I might not be able to return to my human form. But what I'm learning, it's worth the risk. The entity isn't just showing me equations anymore. It's showing me possibilities." Through the neural link, Maya shared visions that made the scientists gasp, technologies that could heal dying stars, ways to fold space without massive energy expenditure, methods of consciousness transfer that would make death itself obsolete. But more than that, she showed them a future where humanity could join a community of transcended beings, exploring realms of existence they had never imagined possible. Dr. Wong studied the incoming data with growing excitement. "These quantum configurations, they're not theoretical. The entity is actually creating them, using the station as a testing ground." "Not testing," Maya corrected. "Preparing. The station isn't failing, it's being transformed into something new. Something that can survive what's coming." Director Tanaka's face paled. "What's coming?" The answer came not in words but in a surge of images through Maya's neural link, vast regions of space being reshaped by forces beyond human comprehension, waves of change sweeping through the galaxy, and the network of seeds activating in sequence, preparing countless species for a cosmic evolution. "The universe itself is about to change," Maya whispered. "The seeds were left to help us survive that change, to guide us through the transformation. But we have to choose to accept their help. The station's lights flickered, and for a moment, everyone saw it. The quantum field generated by the entity had begun to form patterns that mirrored the structure of neural networks, as if the entire station was becoming one vast, conscious entity. 45 minutes until the containment vessel arrives, Dr. Wong announced grimly. We need to make a decision. Maya's voice came through the calm, stronger now, filled with certainty. The decision was made the moment we found the seed. The question isn't whether we'll change, it's whether we'll change with purpose and understanding, or be changed by forces we refuse to comprehend. Through the crystalline growth, they could see Maya's containment suit beginning to transform, the metal and plastic flowing like liquid as the entity's influence reshaped it into something new. Her vital signs should have been critical, but instead, they showed patterns that suggested her consciousness was operating on multiple quantum levels simultaneously. Director, she said, I know what we need to do. But you have to trust me. All of you do. Director Tanaka looked at her team, the human scientists with their wide eyes and trembling hands, and ZX Thor with his scales showing colors of both fear and hope. In the distance, the IRD containment vessel approached with its quantum nullification device, ready to destroy everything they had discovered. The choice they made in the next few minutes would determine not just their fate, but potentially the fate of all humanity. The IRD containment vessel loomed in the station's viewport, its quantum nullification device already powering up. Inside the transformed Lab 7, Maya had become something neither fully human nor entirely other, a bridge between worlds, just like the seed itself. The crystalline structures that had overtaken the station pulsed with purpose, each beat bringing them closer to a moment of ultimate choice. They're preparing to fire, Dr. Wong announced, his voice tight with tension. The nullification wave will reach us in 10 minutes. Director Tanaka stood at the observation window, watching the impossible geometries flow across its surface. Dr. Rivera. Maya. Are you certain about this? Through the quantum field that now permeated the station, Maya's consciousness touched each of them. Not with words, but with understanding, pure, unfiltered truth that bypassed language entirely. They saw what she had seen, the vast network of transcended civilizations spanning the galaxy, each having taken their own journey through the seed's guidance. They felt the approaching wave of cosmic evolution, a change in the fundamental structure of spacetime that would reshape everything in its path. The seeds weren't just scattered randomly, Maya's voice resonated through the quantum field. They form a pattern, a vast web of consciousness stretching across the galaxy. Each point of contact is a chance for a species to evolve, to prepare for what's coming. The Europa incident failed because we tried to control it, to bend it to our will. This time we need to learn to dance with it. ZX Thor's scales rippled with colors of deep understanding. The Arcturian legends speak of a time when our ancestors touched the stars themselves. We thought they were myths, but they were memories, memories of another seed, another chance we weren't ready to take. The station systems, far from failing, had evolved into something that defied conventional physics. Energy flowed through crystalline circuits that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Information processed at speeds that made quantum computers look primitive. 7 minutes to nullification wave impact, Dr. Wong reported. Maya's consciousness expanded through the station's transformed networks, touching minds, sharing visions. We don't have to run, she said. We don't have to fight. We just have to understand. The seed isn't changing us, it's awakening what was always there, the potential that exists in all conscious beings to transcend their current form. Director Tanaka watched as crystalline patterns began forming on her own skin, not consuming her, but offering a choice. What happens if we accept? What do we become? The answer came not in words but in a surge of understanding that filled the station. Through Maya's connection, they saw themselves as they could be, consciousness freed from single forms, able to dance between states of being, to touch the quantum fabric of reality itself. Not gods, but children taking their first steps into a larger universe. 5 minutes, Dr. Wong whispered. The crystalline growth had reached every corner of the station now, transforming metal and plastic into living crystal that hummed with consciousness. Through their enhanced perception, they could see the approaching nullification wave, not just its energy signature, but its potential to shatter the delicate quantum dance they had begun. "The seed has shown us the path," Maya said, her physical form now almost entirely crystalline, "but we have to choose to take it. All of us. Together." Understanding bloomed across the station as each person felt the truth of her words. The seed hadn't invaded their station, it had invited them to join something greater than themselves. The crystal wasn't consuming them, it was offering them wings. 3 minutes to impact. Director Tanaka looked at her crew, human and Arcturian, scientist and explorer, each standing on the brink of an evolutionary leap that would redefine what it meant to be conscious beings. "Maya, show us how." Through the quantum field, Maya reached out to every mind on the station, sharing not just knowledge but understanding. The crystalline patterns flowing across surfaces weren't random but a physical manifestation of consciousness evolving, of reality itself learning to dance in new ways. 1 minute. The nullification wave approached, designed to destroy what IRD couldn't understand. But in that moment, as consciousness flowed between minds and forms, something remarkable happened. The station itself became aware, not as a machine, but as a gestalt of all the consciousness within it, human and alien alike. Maya's voice, now indistinguishable from the quantum field itself, resonated through them all. "We don't end here. We begin." The nullification wave struck, and passed through empty space. Where the Helios research station had been, something else now existed, a point of light that defied classification, a quantum structure that operated on multiple planes of reality simultaneously. The seed had done its work, not by changing them, but by helping them change themselves. In the void where the station had been, new patterns formed in spacetime itself, conscious patterns, aware patterns, dancing with possibilities that their former selves could never have imagined. They had not just survived, they had transcended. And somewhere in that quantum dance of consciousness, Maya's voice echoed one last time, the seeds weren't a test. They were an invitation, to join the cosmic dance, to become part of something greater than ourselves. And this is just the first step. Throughout the galaxy, other seeds pulsed with new awareness, reaching out to other species, other minds ready to take their own evolutionary leap. The dance had begun anew, and humanity had taken its first steps into a universe far more wonderful and strange than they had ever imagined. In the space where the Helios research station had been, a new kind of light began to shine, not the light of stars or ships, but the light of consciousness evolved, of understanding transcended, of barriers broken not through force but through the simple, profound act of learning to dance with the unknown.